Hello, and welcome to The Thread. This is a podcast about my journey to becoming a bona fide knitwear designer, all of the things I happen to be knitting on the side, and whatever other nerdy tangent I may or may not feel like skipping down this week. My name is Nicole. I am the knitwear designer behind Common Thread Fiber, and it is my goal in life to empower, particularly, though not exclusively, nerdy knitters to bring the courage and conviction and inspiration that we find in our favorite heroes, tales, and stories, bring that into our everyday lives through fantasy, mythology, and art-inspired knitwear. You can find me at Common Thread Fiber on all the things, Ko-fi, Ravelry, Payhip. It's all in the down bar. And this week, we're going to talk about whips. Whips. All the whips. I have, I have 3 whips that are going. 2 are my own design, 1 is not. And then I have what I'm calling a brain whip, if you will. It's a work in progress that's in my brain right now. It's not in the real world yet. It is a new design idea. It's not quite ready yet, but I thought I would share the inspiration with you guys and see what you think. So if that all sounds good to you, then let's get right into it. So we're going to start with one of my designs. I have 2 hats and a sweater. One of the hats is one of my designs. The other one is not, and I'm super excited to share it with you. And so, but we're going to start with one of my designs. This is my Hat for Thorin pattern. And if you do not know, Hat for Thorin is my second published pattern. It is on Ravelry. And it is inspired by the armor of Thorin Oakenshield. And I read his story as one of redemption, of taking back Erebor, taking back his homeland, kind of avenging his people and his patriline, if you will. So I absolutely love Thorin. I love his story. He's a big inspiration for me. And also, your girl's a dwarf. I love, when I play D&D, that's what I mean when I say I'm a dwarf. I play a fighter dwarf. So Gimli is my homeboy. I am definitely hot for Thorin. I can't help it. So I absolutely love Thorin Oakenshield. So I have 2 designs that are inspired by him. One is out already. That's this one. The other one is my King Under the Mountain shawl. So I have gone into a lot of depth with both of these patterns in the past, and I'll put some cards up. I think I'll put some cards up, and I'll put the episodes in the down bar. If you want to know a little bit more about them, you can watch a past episode. But this is my current work in progress version of Hat for Thorin. So here it is. It has those rupee cables that I'm absolutely in love with. And when I say rupee cables, I do indeed mean like the currency of Hyrule rupees, just so you know. But here it is. And these cables, y'all, they're just so potato chip knitting for me. Just one more. And just one more twist, one more row. And so I go through this very quickly. Let's see. I think the last time I talked about this pattern, sorry, it really doesn't want to focus. The last time I talked about it, I had this started, but I haven't picked it up since then. I picked it up, I think, 2 days ago, and I completed a rupee repeat and a half. I just went to town, and I absolutely love them. To the point where when I was done with my King Under the Mountain shawl, I missed these cables so much after knitting 10 feet of them that I came up with an idea for a blanket pattern. That is not even close to being a thing, but it is in my head because they're like my comfort cables, if you will. So they're essentially just made up of 2x2 twists. So these down here, these are 2x2, 2/2 right crosses. These are 2/2 right crosses as well. Sorry, I don't mean to be flicking you guys off. My bad. But yeah, 2/2 right crosses, 2/2 right crosses. And these are 2/1, I believe, purl crosses. So 2/2 right purl cross, 2/2 left purl cross. And if you've never knit cables before, essentially all that means, when you're going to the right, you take the 2 stitches in, so you'll have 3 stitches on your needles, right? So these are the 2 that are furthest away from the working end of your needle, and this one is closest. Is that right? Sorry, everything's mirrored, so this is weird. So if you're knitting in the round, again, everything's mirrored. This one would be closest to your working needle. So you're going to take these 2 and cross them over the one on your closest to the end of your needle. And then that one that you're crossing behind, that will become a purl stitch. You'll purl that, and then you knit the 2 that you crossed over. It's really It's not as complicated and terrifying as I think some people believe cables are. Even your most complicated cables are just made up of a series of twists or a series of crosses. That's it. So these guys are pretty simple, and yeah, they become very intuitive to the point where when I inevitably, while watching a documentary, as is my way, got a little too excited and just kept knitting the knits and purling the pearls and screwed up my hat like this, it became very obvious, like 2 rows in. So if you're wondering why is half of it right and the other half is wrong, I did the whole thing wrong. And I looked down and went, that ain't right. And then I started to drop down and twist my cables over themselves. If you would like to see how I do that, let me know in the comments. I'm more than happy to take a short video and show you guys how I do it. I am by no means saying it's the right way to do it. I am by no means saying that there's not another way to do it. But this is how I drop down several rows and fix my cables. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. Anyway, so the yarn for this is, shocker, I know, baby cat yarns. Actually, everything, there's only one thing on my table today that is not baby cat yarns. I have a girl crush. This is just where I'm at, okay? Get on my level. But this is her sport weight base, her Superwash sport weight, because Britta now has all of her bases in both Superwash and non-Superwash. This is her Superwash sport weight base in her colorway Breakwater, and I absolutely love it. I think it's beautiful. And it's knitting up really nicely. I am knitting this for a friend. So if you're looking at this and thinking, Nicole, that doesn't look like it's going to fit your head, you would be absolutely right. I have a giant head. This is not a giant hat. So this, though, is. This is my version. Also in Baby Cat Yarns in her Genovian pear colorway. And if you want to see, I know you can go watch the previous episode, but I thought I would just share. I wear this in 2 ways. Sometimes I will wear this further back on my head like this, so that I have some slouch. Not so much that it's like an octopus hat, but gives it a little bit of room up here. I also will pull the hat all the way down and wear it like a beanie. And that's why I really appreciate the construction of this. So you can add length or take length out by adding in these single twists. Adding in or taking out. So for my version, for me, that I was keeping, after I had knit it, after I had testers going, I thought I'm going to make another one for myself and modify it. And I just took out 1 repeat of the single twists just to take some of the room out of the back. And it worked like a charm. And I had several testers do the exact same thing. They just took 1 of the repeats out and changed, how it was going to fit them, which I absolutely love. I know some designers don't love it when their test knitters do that. I do. I want to know how it works for you if you're going to modify. I have no problem with modifications in my test knits. So this is going to go to a friend. This is my 4th hat for Thorin. And yeah, I knew the minute I knit one for my mother, I was either going to pry it out of her cold dead hands, her words, not mine, or knit myself one, so I did. And then I knit one for Dan. And then I'm knitting this one for a friend. And I'm loving it. It's like, but yeah, I am though. I'm loving it. And it's not because it's my design. I know it probably sounds that way. It's just these cables are giving me life. So that is my first whip. That is my hat for Thorin, which is available on Ravelry. It's also available on Ko-fi and PayHip if Ravelry is not accessible to you. So I will leave those links in the down bar for anyone who might be interested. So let's talk about something that's not one of my designs for a hot minute, shall we? This is another hat that I'm knitting for a friend. I love knitting hats. I really do. There's something about having that it's just perfect. It's like the perfect for me. It's the perfect size. It really makes me feel like I'm holding a project, right? Like I'm holding something of substance, but it's not a sweater. And so I don't have like 300 stitches going around. So this way I can hold, I don't know. There's just something, it just feels so good in my hands. Avoiding a that's what she said joke there. Whatever, guys. Welcome to my channel. But here's a current hat that I'm really, really enjoying knitting, guys. This is the Dotty hat by Claire Wells, who is also known as Flossie. So she has a podcast. I love watching her podcast. She is so sweet. She gives you a toothache. And I mean that in a very good way. She's got a great aesthetic. She's very calming, and she's got the cutest dog. So I love watching her podcast, and this hat has been a ton of fun to knit. So I know it's in kind of a dark yarn, so I'm trying to make sure it gets in the light. I am halfway through one of the repeats, so I'll pop a picture in of the Dotty hat so you can really see what it looks like. But as you can see, bobbles for days. Yeah, I really got to up my bobble game, guys. I'm not going to pretend, because I definitely have the giant holes. Like, yeah, I got to up my bobble game. That is not a fault of the pattern. It's my fault. I can't knit bobbles to save my life, apparently. But yeah, here it is. So this is a worsted weight hat. I will tell you that she does a fully twisted rib in her pattern. I thought about doing a fully twisted rib for 4 inches, and I wanted to die. So I'm doing a half twisted rib instead. And I am knitting this out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. This is their Shire colorway, which guys, it's the camera's not doing it justice. This is a great colorway. I just had a conversation with someone last night about how when Knit Picks does a green, they do a green. And they've got a ton of really great greens. And this is one of them. This is like you see blue in here, yellow in here. It is a heather, so it's their Shire heather. And the camera's just not doing it justice. But this is also a cabled hat. Is anyone shocked? You really shouldn't be by now. And it's got the bobbles in the middle. I think it's super cute. And there was something about this design where it just kind of screamed like modern elven to me for some reason. Maybe it's just me. But I know that sometimes I go hunting for a pattern that could pass as Middle Earthy, but doesn't necessarily have a Middle Earth inspiration. And this definitely was one of them. So let's see if you put it on. Yeah, see, I have a giant head. My friend does not have a giant head, but I do. So we're not even going to try. But I'm really enjoying knitting this. The worsted weight yarn is making the cables fly. It's going very quickly. And the bobbles are the one thing that really takes time. But some things take time, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. So I think there are 3 rows of bobbles, I think, in each repeat. And then I believe there's 2 repeats of the triangles with the bobbles. And she does a really cute color block thing on hers. Since this isn't from me, I thought, you know what, let's play it safe. We'll do 1 color. And yeah, I believe I'm knitting her second size. This has 2 sizes to it, and I'm knitting her second size for my friend. So one more time. This is the Dotty hat. I know it's kind of in a weird spot where you can't really appreciate the pattern for what it is looking at my version, but hopefully by the next time we chat about what I'm working on, it'll be further along so you guys can really see, see it in all its glory. But I mean, come on, look at Shire Heatherway in that rib. Ugh. It looks so good. And I'm not one for a rib. Like, I'm not going to say never, like never say never, right? But I am not one who's going to knit an entire sweater out of ribbing. I'm just not going to do that. But here, in this color, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would. Because I love it. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. I hated knitting it, though. And again, that's not the pattern. That's just that I hate knitting ribbing. Your mileage will almost certainly vary. So yeah, this one and my hat for Thorin, I forgot to mention. My hat for Thorin, I included a pom-pom. It's not required. On her pattern, she also includes a pom-pom. I'm sure it's not required. But I am not going to put pom-poms on these because they are for friends. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to make a pom-pom for this one. And I'm going to I've got like 40 of these pom-poms, guys. So I'm going to send my friend the snap and the pom-pom for the hat for Thorin. Because, I don't know, I feel like people can get kind of heated to pom-pom or not to pom-pom. Kind of like to tassel or not to tassel. Tell me in the comments, are you a pom-pom lover or no pom-pom? Do you pom-pom? Do you not pom-pom? make a drinking game out of how many times I've said pom-pom in this video. Do you tell me what you think. And if you do pom-poms, do you make them or do you buy them? I'm interested to hear. And on that note, do you tassel or do you not tassel? I love a good tassel, guys. I'm not going to pretend. Fringe? What do y'all feel about putting, I don't want to call them frou-frou. That sounds negative. That's not what I mean. But, putting something extra. Putting a little, give them the old razzle-dazzle with it. What? Tell me in the comments what you think. Tassel, no tassel, fringe, no fringe, pom-pom, yes, pom-pom. And clearly, I'm team pom-pom. I'm going to stop saying the word pom-pom now. Let's move on to my sweater. Guys, I'm so excited. It's my I Am No Man sweater. So, for anyone who is new here, first of all, welcome. Super glad you've made it this far in. And for all of you who may not know, I am currently designing a compound raglan with cables. Sparse for me. They're sparse cables as far as I'm concerned. They're accents, if you will. Here you go. That'll be better. I am not graceful at this, guys. There we go. Kind of see it. So I'm designing a compound raglan with cables that go around the neck and down the raglan and down the sides. And as you can see on the neck, they end about an inch after you join for the neck. So that's where we're at. Oh yeah, look at that color. That's just gold. Okay, so a little bit about the design for anyone who does not know. It is called I Am No Man. So if you have been anywhere on the internet or anywhere close to the movies and you are, well, I was going to say above the age of 20, but I know us, Middle Earth lovers are having a moment right now. So I don't even think it's a generational thing anymore. But you probably know I Am No Man. And that is that glorious moment that Éowyn stabs the Witch King of Angmar in the face. It is just that girl power. Oh, it's so good. And I am designing this sweater based on her, on Éowyn, based on her armor. Because all of my designs tend to have some kind of inspiration that is, of course, Middle Earth. But Middle Earth, for me, and Tolkien's writings, which I know your mileage may vary, but for me, they make me feel very seen and empowered in a way that it's fantasy, right? So it's like, it doesn't hit super close to home in the way that some very heavy, books can feel, but I can recognize some of my own struggle, right? Some of my own struggles and triumphs and a lot of the characters that Tolkien writes. I just want to be Éowyn when I grow up. There's a line of thought there, guys, that it's not quite developed yet, but I feel it. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. And so when I knit my Golden Hall shawl, which was also based on Rohan. The Golden Hall shawl was based on King Theoden and based on, that story of fighting back and taking back your power, right? So I knew that I wanted armor. And my Golden Hall shawl did do that. It did give me that armor vibe enough for me, but I knew I wanted wearable armor that I could wear out, and it's like my little secret, right? So it's not armor in a cosplay sense, which I'm totally here for that, by the way. But it's not armor in a cosplay sense. It's armor in a, I know. And if you guys saw me in public, you may know. And it's like, if you know, you know. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm rambling. I hope that makes sense. But that's kind of the goal of this sweater. And I tried it on last night, guys. It's achieving that goal for me. I'm so excited. I'm finally at the point where I can just go to town because I no longer have any questions of, is this going to work? Do I have to make edits? Do I have to make changes? The answer is a resounding no. We are all things go. We are green light, and I'm going to town. So, of course, naturally, I'm running out of yarn. So, a little bit of a tangent here. I'm sure you guys, if you are returning viewers, will see that I am not in Knittopia. I am in a different place than I usually am. I am in Indiana, and we had a little bit of a family emergency. So Dan and I hopped in the car and drove up here so that I could be home, close to my family. And I thought I would be an adult which was stupid. So I thought I would be a grown person and I wouldn't pack a ton of yarn and I wouldn't pack that many projects. That's why I brought a bunch of hats, right? It was my way of scratching that I must bring every project I have itch, which I have a lot. For more information, go see my Bucket of Whips, my Bucket of Whips episode. But it was scratching that itch of I must bring every project that I have without bringing every project that I have. And then I thought, I can't knit that fast, right? Wrong. When I really decide that I'm go, I went, and now I'm running out of yarn. And so I had to catch my chill for a minute, which I feel like is the theme of every episode. I have to catch my chill. And I never do, that elusive chill of mine, because I don't have any. I have no chill, zero chill. But I'm having to temper my excitement and stop knitting this for a minute because I'm running out of yarn. And if you're wondering, what yarn is this? It's baby cat yarn. What do you mean, what yarn is this? I knit with anything other than baby cat yarn at this point. Guys, it's getting out of control. But this is baby cat yarn. This is a colorway that she does not have available yet. She dyed this colorway, I'm not going to say specifically for me, but kind of. So it was a request, if you will. It was a collaboration. So I've told this 1,000 times in other episodes, but I went to her, asked a question. She heard that question, ran with the answer, did her thing. Britta is an artist, y'all, and came up with this color inspired by Theowen's armor. Theowen's armor? Eowyn's armor. I was thinking King Theoden and Eowyn. But yes, I sent her some inspiration photos, which included Eowyn's armor, and she nailed it. She absolutely nailed it. So this is part of a palette that is not available yet. It is her heroic palette, and she will drop that palette when I put out my call for testers. And I know I've gotten some comments from some of you asking if I'm ready for testers. No. I'm not done yet, but I'm so excited that you guys are excited about this design. And if you want to make sure that you hear about my calls for testers before I take it to Instagram, I will drop a link in the down bar that is my mailing list. Now, that mailing list is only for calls for testers. I will never send you anything other than my calls for testers. You will never get any other marketing, anything from me. I am going to start a newsletter. That will be a separate sign up. You will not be automatically signed up because that's gross, and I'm not about that. So hop on that list if you want to be the first to hear about this when it is ready. It is not quite ready yet. But Britta is going to drop her heroic palette. It makes me so happy, guys. She's going to drop that palette when I am ready to call for testers on this design. And a little bit more information about it. So this is a 2/3 cable. And the way that you do it, you actually start with this guy. It's kind of like a garter tab cast on, except instead of doing garter stitch back and forth, you're knitting the cable. So you're knitting the cable in one strip. You provisionally cast on 8 stitches. You knit the cable in one strip. You put those stitches on hold. You go back to your provisional cast on, knit the cable going the other direction. And then you pick up I think for my size, it was 61 stitches along the side. And you place your markers and you go. It's 2 extra steps. It took me about 20 minutes. And I will tell you guys, I'm not a really fast knitter. I'm just not. Some designers are speedy. I am not one of them. So maybe it took me more like a half hour, but it did not take me long to do that. And I think that the result is incredible because then that allows us to knit the finishing of the V-neck as you're knitting the sweater. And it also allowed for the cable to, come down the way that I wanted. The other thing that I love about it is it creates a really interesting thing at your neck. I'm going to put in some footage of me wearing it. But essentially the cable comes around your neck. It's not choking you. It's sitting very flat around your neck. And then it kind of goes up a little bit and then it goes down. It is totally serving the tunic that you wear under your armor for me. I love it. It's exactly what I wanted. It is so empowering to have an idea, work on it, leave it, set it down like I've done, which I've talked about at length, in past episodes. Set it down, go do something else, come back to it, make changes, have that aha eureka moment, and then it work. And you guys have watched. I have ripped out how many times with this design. How many times? And I'm telling y'all the truth when I do it. And I think it's important. I think it's important that especially aspiring designers see what it's like for a new designer when you do have to rip out or you do have to change something. And it's all part of the process, even if it gets a little ridiculous sometimes. So that when you go and try to do your first garment or your first design and you're in the same boat, you know it's totally normal and not to worry about it. You're not an imposter. There's nothing wrong with you. It's all just according to plan, essentially. And that's what's happening with this design. And I am at the point where I am flying through. I ran out of yarn, but Britta being Britta, the wonderful human being that she is, when she heard that I had to come home, she heard that there was, an emergency, she immediately, asked me, what can I do? Like, can I DoorDash you some snacks? Can I send you? She's an incredible human being. And she said, can I send you more yarn? I was like, well, now that you mention it, I'm running out of yarn. That night, she had my yarn on the burners, and like a day and a half later, she had it shipped. So it's on its way. So the next time we talk about this design, the body will be done. I've put it into the universe. The body will be done. And I'm really excited about it. So that is my I Am No Man's pullover. It is not available yet. I am still working on it. We're working through the process. You guys are watching it as it happens. And if you would like to be on my tester mailing list, the link is in the down bar. So let's talk about my brain whip, shall we? So for anyone who is new, I'm a giant nerd. I don't know if you've gotten that through your head yet, but I am a huge nerd, a big old nerd. Nerd TM, if you will. And one of my big nerdy things that I absolutely love, I love it so much, it is the experimental archaeology shows on the BBC. So my educational background is actually in anthropology. I am a trained applied cultural anthropologist. But archaeology was really my first love. So I was that little kid that loved learning about ancient Egypt, loved learning about shipwreck archaeology. I didn't know at the time that's what it was, but it was. And I also loved primatology. I loved Jane Goodall. My first baby doll that I ever picked out was actually a stuffed monkey. So, the writing was on the wall that I was going to be an anthropologist, even as a little kid. But it's why I really love these experimental archaeology, documentaries that the BBC does. I've talked in a previous episode how I have a total crush on Peter Gint. I can't help it. And Secrets of the Castle is no exception. I have been watching Secrets of the Castle on loop, guys. I think I've watched the series 3 times now. And I am just so awestruck by the craftsmanship and the skill, the undeniable skill that it takes to do anything on this job site at all whatsoever. Whether you're a stonemason, a blacksmith, a stonemason, a blacksmith, a builder, like the skill that takes, and also learning as a designer and as a knitter, as a textile artist, how gratifying it is to work with your hands. And so to watch people essentially doing something similar, working with their hands, creating something bigger than themselves, it is very inspiring. And I could nerd out about it all day. And if you want to watch Secrets of the Castle, it is on YouTube for free. At least a good chunk of it is. So I'm going to tell you about a color palette that was, I saw it and I had to have it. And it was from Secrets of the Castle. I'm going to put this timestamp in here. I'm not going to take a screenshot and share it because that seems a little iffy as far as copyright is concerned. But I will put the link to the episode in the down bar. Here's the timestamp. You could go check it out for yourself. I highly recommend watching this show. And it is from a moment in the show where Ruth is talking to an artisan, a painter, who is crushing up the pigment that they will then turn into the paint that they're going to paint the rooms in the castle with. And I died. I loved these colors so much. And the funny thing is, I never think of myself as someone who loves the color pink. But my God, do I love ochre. My God, do I love burnt sienna. I didn't know. I had no idea. So I saw that palette and I saw the painting that they were doing on the walls, and I was so inspired that I knew I'm going to design a colorwork sweater. And it is going to be my medieval flower garden sweater, which, yes, it will be one of my first non-Tolkien inspired patterns. But remember, I said fantasy, mythology, and art inspired knitwear, and this is absolutely art. So, and not only that, but what isn't fantastical about a medieval flower garden, for God's sake? So, go check out that color palette, and then come tell me how I nailed it. Because I went to Baby Cat Yarn. You guys, she doesn't pay me. I promise you. Britta does not pay me to talk her up. Woman is just the Sherwin-Williams of yarn. So here I am trying to come up with a color palette, and I don't want speckles and I don't want variegated, which are beautiful, by the way. Variegated and speckled yarns they're beautiful. But it's not what I want for this particular project. And I want to support an indie dyer, and I don't want to use Superwash, and the only person that I ever think of is Britta. Can't help it. And I was able, from her 160-something colorways, to put together the palette of my dreams. And here it is. It's exactly what I wanted. And yeah, it looks so good. I'm trying to see, maybe if I do one of these. Let's see if I can be a professional about it. Never. Okay, here we go. Oh my God. For any Friends fans? Janice? Oh my God. It's exactly what I wanted. So obviously it's not ochre or burnt sienna, but this is exactly what I was picturing. So here's the thing. One of these two might not make it in. And the reason is because this is the main color. So this will be the main body of the sweater. These are going to be the colors I use for the color work. So I might shove all of these in there, as long as it's not actually shoving things, because you want to do things with intention, right? So one of those two colorways may not make it in. But I ordered them on purpose to see if I liked them together, which I do, and if I wanted to use them both, I'm not sure. We're going to swatch. We're going to play. And this is the main colorway. So, buckle up. I'm going to tell you what all these colorways are. This is Biscuit. This is Bruised, which is... Oh, no, this is not Bruised. Oh, yeah, it is. This is Bruised. This is Harvest Moon. Try and tell me that is not your girl in a color, because it is. This is Barley. Try to tell me that this isn't your girl in a color, because it absolutely is. This is Sedona. And this is Heather. And again, if you go to that timestamp and you check that video out of Secrets of the Castle, then come and let's nerd out about how good these colors are. And seriously, I'm not kidding. So the other thing in my last video that I floated would be if you guys would want a video about color work and my advice for knitting color work. I got a resounding yes. So we will do that video. It will not be next week's because I still need to think about a little bit what exactly I want the flowers to look like. But potentially the next tangent video will be the video on my advice for color work, about knitting it, about your first color work project, stuff like that. But this is going to be a color work sweater. Here's what I know. I'll tell you what I know. What I know is this is going to be a colorwork sweater. The colorwork is going to be around the bottom, and I think I'm also going to include it around the cuffs of the arms. More than likely, this will be a raglan. And here's the thing. I love raglans. I just do. I know a lot of people have some fit issues with them. I've been having a ton of fun playing with the compound shaping. I would also like to start playing with bust darts. I'm going to start playing around with bust dart placement and how to grade bust darts. So this pattern, I feel pretty confident in saying, will have it. And so I'm hoping with the compound shaping, the optional bust darts, that we could get a better fit in raglans in these patterns. And so that's why I'm not shying away from raglans, because they are my favorite. I am that magical size where your traditional every other increase works. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I am. And I just love them. So it will probably be a raglan. It may have like a contrasting color going down the raglan lines, and it may go down the sides. And I said to myself, self, you just did that. And then I said, that's true, self. But here's the thing. What's wrong with having a signature? And if doing a raglan that has whatever is in the raglan going down the side is my signature, I'm here for it. So it may do that. And then there will be the color work around the bottom. It will be pretty significant color work around the bottom. It's not just going to be a couple of flowers around the edge and then you go into ribbing. It's going to be pretty high up here, color work around the bottom. And the flowers will be inspired by the flowers that they're painting on the walls at Gedalon, which is the name of the castle in Secrets of the Castle. Now, that being said, I am not here for ripping off other artists' work. And as far as I'm concerned, the flowers on those walls is the work of an artist. And so I do not want to just straight up copy those flowers. So I did a thing. I bought a book. It's huge. I bought The Book of Flowers by Pierre-Joseph Rudete, Uncultured American Party of One. I will put the name of this book in the down bar. Here it is. Oh my god, it's big. Yep. And every page is an illustration of a flower. Now, I do believe that when this was done, it was in the 1800s. So, or these illustrations, not this book. So I'm not trying to sit here and say that these are medieval flowers. They're not. Which is why I bought the medieval equivalent of this book too. It's just not here yet. Guys, I have a problem. It's called Caring Too Much, and it's incurable. If anyone watches Parks and Rec, there's your reference for the day. Yeah. So here's the lowdown. I was not expecting this to be a gigantic coffee table book, but I'm here for it. So just as an inspiration source to really be able to see it up close, not be doing it, on a computer screen, and I will have a medieval source book as well, just to kind of help inspire what these flowers will look like. And I'm already dreaming it up. I can already see it in my head. It's speaking to me, guys. Like, the design is telling me what it wants to be, and I just need to take the time to listen and nail it, because I'm so inspired by this color palette. I can't get over it. So that is my brain whip. I don't know, maybe you can learn a lot of things from the flowers, cardigan. I don't know. I'm nowhere close to even naming it. But I just thought it might be kind of fun to talk about the earliest stage of the design process. It's in my head. It's not even out in the world yet stage. So I'm calling it my brain whip. I need to not be looking through this book while I'm talking to you guys. And I think that we're going to end it there after looking at my giant book and my current whips. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else to share with you guys. I am in Indiana. I am right north of Indianapolis at the moment. Just here for a little while that family emergency calms down and everything is fine. I'm fine. My family is fine. It was a scary moment there for a minute. So we will be here for another 4 weeks. So you will see me here for the next couple of episodes. I hope that's okay with you, because that's what's going to happen. And yeah, other than that, if you are from the area and you have anywhere that you really love to go, let me know in the comments if you're from the Indianapolis area, or even a little north or a little south. I grew up here and I went to Purdue for grad school. So, these are not foreign parts for me, but things have changed. I haven't been back a whole lot since the pandemic started. And I think the last time I was here was Hurricane Ian. So it would be nice to come visit for a good reason. But alas, that is not the case. Not this time. So anyway, I'm going to end there. I hope you guys are having a really great weekend. I hope you continue to have a great weekend. And, like I said, are you pom-pom, team tassel? Are you fringe? Let me know in the comments. I will pin my questions. That was a great suggestion from a viewer to put my questions in a comment and pin it. That way you guys don't have to feel like Oh my God, I'm going to date myself so hard, but you don't have to feel like it's like an AIM conversation where it's like, I have to spam you all my answers before I forget. Like, I'll put the questions in a comment and I will pin it. Thank you for that suggestion. And yeah, I don't want to start a fight or anything, but Team Pom Pom, okay? Have a great weekend. I will talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.